Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rakshit Subramanya, an ISC engineering student at HVC. Today I'll be talking about Python's lists, list concatenation and list replication. Let's move on. To introduce you, let me tell you what is list. A list is a data structure in Python that is mutable and has an ordered sequence of elements. For you to understand what is mutable, mutable is when something is changeable or has the ability to change. In Python, mutable is the ability of objects to change their values. As I explained in the previous video, objects is a collection of variables and functions. To move on, now I'm going to tell you how are lists used. So let us first know list is a mutable data type. It is declared with the help of square brackets. It is a data type that is capable of storing heterogeneous elements in ordered format. As you see in the photo here, compared to the syntax which I have written, first is list name, which is L here, equal to the square brackets are used, which is used for lists, and the elements are given, that is 20, Jessa, 35.75 and so on. A list can store any data type, including strings to tuple to other lists also. The string follows an indexing method where the first is known as the zeroth index and then so on. With the help of this indexing method, we can do many processes like changing the values according to the index, also entering or reading certain values from a given point. List is a heterogeneous data type, which means it can collect different data types, such as it is not like array which we learned in previous programs where only a certain data type can be used. In lists you can use any data type and it can be set in an ordered format. It is also a data type that allows duplicating data, which means the same data can be stored again. Let's move on. Let us know what is list concatenation. First of all, let me tell you, concatenation is a process of combining two lists or two strings. So here what we have is a list concatenation is the process of combining two or more lists in a single list. This is done by using the concatenation operator or plus, as you see over there. You can join the lists together and create a new list that contains all the elements from the original list. It is like creating a mega list that has all the elements you need in one place. As I have mentioned, it is done like this. When it is typed as A plus B, where A and B are two separate lists. They have their own different values. One of the condition is that a list can be concatenated with a list only. To help you understand, it is not possible for a list to be concatenated with the integer value. If it is done, we will get an error. Here are some examples. The first one is where A is a list 1, 2, 3 as its elements and B is a list with 6 and 7 as its element. We concatenate A as A plus B, and when we print A we get 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Both the elements of A and B, which are small lists, have been concatenated into the mega list. A second example is where the list A not only has an integer but also has a different character in it. As you can see, even though it is done, the output is still going to get concatenated and come out like this. As I mentioned, a list can only be concatenated with a list, meaning I said it cannot be concatenated with an integer value. So as you see in the example, we try to concatenate it with 5, we get an error. With the last example and the second example, I would also like to mention that short-handed operators can also be used on concatenation and replication. What is replication? List replication is a method that allows you to multiply the elements of a list by a certain factor. It is done by using the multiplication operator. You can create a new list that contains multiple copies of the original list. It is like doubling or tripling the fun by having more of the same elements. Here is an example that can explain that. We have a list B1 and 2 as its element. When we use replication method, that is, we say B is equal to B of multiplication of replication operator 3. As you can see, when you print B, you get 1, 2, but in a factors of 3. It is not only with integer, it can also be done with other characters, as you can see above, where we have used car and cat. When we use the replication operator, it it expands according to the factors defined. As I mentioned, shorthand operators can be used here too. As you can, the condition about replication is a list can only be replicated with an integer value. It cannot be replicated with another list. As you can see, if you give B is equal B of B as a list of 1, 2 and A as a list of 3 and 4, if we try to replicate it, we get an error because it is not possible. Why use list concatenation? List concatenation is a handy tool for merging lists together. It can be used to combine different lists of data or to add new elements to an existing list. It's like mixing different ingredients to create a delicious recipe. With list concatenation, you have the power to create customized lists that suit your specific needs. Let us know why we use replication. List replication is a useful technique for scaling or repeating elements in a list. It can be used to create patterns or generate lists with a specific number of elements. It's like printing multiple copies of the same invention to a party, invitation to a party. With list replication, you can also easily amplify the impact of the code. Let's move on. Let us know the advantages of list. Mainly, as I mentioned, it is mutable, which means the values inside a list can be altered flexibly, causing us the program to be made to changed easily and executed and understood very easily. Second advantage is its dynamic size. Lists in Python have a dynamic size, meaning they can grow or shrink as elements are added or removed. You don't need to specify the size of a list beforehand, making it convenient for situations where the number of elements is unknown or can change. Third advantage is it is ordered. Lists preserve the order of elements, maintaining the sequence in which they are added. This allows you to access the elements by their index, iterate over them in a predictable manner, and perform operations based on the position of the list. Next, their advantage is versatility. Lists can store elements of different data types, including numbers, strings, booleans, objects, and even other lists. The versatility of the lists is suitable for a wide range of applications that allows you to create data structures. Now let us know the applications of list. They are used in data storage and manipulation. Python lists are extensively used to store and manipulate collections of data. They can handle any type of object or value, making them versatile for storing and organizing data. Lists also allow them for adding, removing, and modifying elements, making them useful for tasks such as managing database, processing datasets, or creating data structures, which is also useful according in my last topic, that was internet data analysis. Please watch the previous video to understand. The second application is iteration and looping. Lists are iteratable, meaning you can easily iterate over the elements using loops of comprehensions. This enables you to perform operations on each item in the list, process sequence, and apply transformations to the data. Next is data structures. Python is fundamental for implementing various data structures such as queues, stacks, linked lists, and graphs. They can be used as building blocks for more complex data structures or algorithms, providing access, modification, and traversal capabilities. Implementation of algorithms. Lists are widely used for implementing algorithms, and they're versatile and they're easy for manipulation. They can be used for tasks such as searching, graph traversal, dynamic programming, and much more. Thus, by combining the power of lists, concatenation, and replication, you can create a dynamic and flexible list that bring fun to your Python code. Whether you are merging the list or multiplying the elements, these features give you the freedom to express your creativity and make your code more entertaining. Thus, with all the above processes, many operations can be possible and accessible very easily. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you understood something.